Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claris Community Live. Today, we're going to talk about practical things that are possible now with FileMaker and AI, all the things you couldn't do before. And we've assembled a panel of FileMaker developers and community members, along with Ronnie Rios from the product management team at Claris, to share what they've been experimenting with and exploring since the release of FileMaker 2024. To get started, I'm going to let Ronnie introduce himself.
Awesome. Thank you, Rosemary. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Ronnie Rios, product manager here at Claris, focusing lately on all things AI. I'm so really happy to be here. And I want to take the opportunity right now to kind of say that, we want to learn really more about your thoughts as well here around AI and bringing AI into FileMaker. Obviously, this technology has the potential to revolutionize how we all work. And so we want to make sure that we're building the platform to align with your particular needs. So we'd love it if you could, if we can get your insights through, there's a short poll. If you go to the bottom right side of WebEx, there's a little 3 dots button there, and you can open up the poll right there. I would love it if you get your responses here today. Your responses will definitely help shape the future of AI tools within our platform. So appreciate you taking time to do that right now. You can actually do that while we continue to introduce the rest of the panel.
Yeah, so next, let me introduce Nicolas Franco from Spain. Nicolas, just let us know a little bit about yourself and what you've been working on. Very briefly, because we'll have more time later for a deep discussion.
My name is Nicolas Franco. I'm working here in Spain in a company named Bitwalk. We have been working since almost 10 years on artificial intelligence outside of the FileMaker, landscape. And we are now integrating your different platforms, with FileMaker. So I will show you later, what are we able to do now with the new functions of FileMaker. We are really happy to stay here and to share with you our knowledge about artificial intelligence and FileMaker. Thank you, Rosemary.
Thanks. And what about you, Christos?
Yeah, hi, everybody. My name is Christos Leonides Chin. I'm a platform architect at Codance, based out of Colorado in the US. Excuse me. I've been really just a newcomer in many ways to the AI space, starting largely with the introduction of GPT-3. But the whole landscape has been evolving so quickly that it's been fascinating and a great ride to be along with. And we're really interested in how we can make those tools available really to the broader community at large, because it doesn't have to be scary and intimidating. A lot of the stuff is really simpler to get started with than you think.
Thanks. And Vince, it's great to see that you've already brought some new AI features to Inspector Pro. But what sparked your interest and what have you been working on?
Yeah, my name is Vincenzo Manano. I'm a beeswax. What sparked my interest is basically the whole world is interested in AI. And, I'm just totally new to it. And I really enjoy that, Claris is making, concentrated efforts in there to bring AI to the tools that to the solution that we love using a lot. And, having the ability to use it. And I can tell you firsthand, as I will be soon, that it's really, really exciting and easy to use. So can't wait to share that with you.
All right, Ronnie, why don't you get started? Just tell us give another quick overview, and I'm waiting for the poll to end so we can share that a little bit too.
Yeah, no worries. So, and I've been playing around with AI for many years, in back from it was version 19 of FileMaker introduced the capability of running machine learning models through support of Core ML within FileMaker, and that got me really interested into getting my hands on really on it. So for years I've been playing with it, but obviously with the advent of generative AI, right, it's sparked a whole new landscape of tools and capabilities, and so I've been playing a lot along with it. And as a product manager, obviously this opens up a brand new area of tools that we can bring and things that we want to enable our developers to use. And so with FileMaker 2024, we were looking for like what are the core building blocks that our developer community is going to need in order to create applications that are AI driven and can take advantage of, especially generative AI. And what kept coming up again and again and again was semantic search. And so for those of you who are not familiar with it, right, and we actually had a whole live stream about semantic search. But semantic search allows you to search for data based on the meaning of things and how similar things are in meaning. And it's usually used very, it's used in a lot of things, just not just for enhancing search, but along with generative AI, it's used as a way to retrieve contextually relevant data, right, to power queries into with large language models and things like that. And so we're already seeing a lot of interest from the community. This is enabling a lot of interesting things. Again, we had a whole live stream dedicated just to that. But this is just a first step for us, and so we're really excited to see all the doors that these tools are starting to open up for our developer community.
And now we have some poll results, so I'm going to share those with everybody. I hope it works. You may need to flip open the poll window again, but as I'm looking through these, I see, so first, comfort. I'm noticing that over the last 3 months, as we've done several live streams, the audience as a whole, all of you in the FileMaker community, are becoming more comfortable with AI and AI concepts. And I'm excited to see that almost half of the people who responded are motivated or highly motivated to start bringing AI to your applications. And the primary use cases are, looks like, pretty evenly divided by first enhancing data analysis capabilities, and then automation and improving decision-making processes. And fears are data security and cost and lack of technical expertise. And those are all pretty highly and equal. And then next after that is ethical concerns. So I hope this insight will help you, Ronnie, and the rest of the product team as you start to build new things for all our developers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if anyone missed our earlier AI live streams, I will ask Angie to please drop the links in chat, but you can find all of them both in Claris Community, in Claris Academy. There's a topic area for all the community live episodes, and we've also put them all in the webinars playlist on the Claris YouTube channel. So now let's start our discussion of what's now possible. And I think I alluded to it earlier, but Vince has been doing great work with Inspector Pro and has brought AI to Inspector Pro. So Vince, first, can you remind us all what Inspector Pro is? And then we'd love to see a demonstration of the new features in the latest version that use semantic search and AI.
Sure, Rosemary, thank you. First off, Inspector Pro is a tool that uses the XML that is output from FileMaker. Before, in the past, it was using the DDR, but now we've switched officially to using the save a copy as XML output. And so what it does is it processes that XML and gives you information about your solution, where things are referenced, for example, like where this field is referenced, what the script is doing, et cetera, et cetera. So rather than to have to wade through a lot of XML, you're basically having an interface that is easy to follow and understand. In the past, you could search for a script, or you could search for a field, etc. But now with the power of semantic search, you can search for the meaning of scripts. So I can tell you a little bit about the journey there. So let me share my screen. And oops, sorry, wrong button. Okay, so you should see my screen now, and you should be seeing a window to a view of a list of scripts in Inspector. And again, these are the names of the scripts, and Rosemary, you'll be very familiar with this because this is your Yarn database, and these are your scripts in your Yarn database. There's not a lot of scripts, but these are the number of steps in each of the scripts. Some of them are very small. This one here on open has 28 steps, and we can copy the steps, for example, and we can go into DB edit here, and I've just pasted the steps that belong to that open on open script, right? So, for example, with the ability of AI now, what we can do is we did a two-step process. The first step was we get the textual representation of the script, and we send it to ChatGPT and ask for a summary. So that what that's useful for is to be able to get a summary of this script, and you can get a single word summary. For example, here's a single sentence. This script sets variables for application and device information, redirects based on the device type, performs a find, and sorts records before exiting the script. So if, let's say, you haven't looked at a solution for years and you come back to it, you can just read the summary and it gives you kind of a highlight of the script. Now, you might think to yourself, well, 28 steps, not a big deal. I could just look at this and understand what it's doing. But imagine, if you will, when you have hundreds or maybe even thousands of steps, a single line or a few sentences that summarizes what the script is doing. This script now, this summary is actually a little bit more extended summary, and it gives you the details of the script. So, for example, this FileMaker script first sets variables to store information about what the application version and system platform. So if we look at the script itself, it looks exactly what it says here. This is what it's doing. So in a sense, it's giving you a summary of the script, and which is helpful for, again, if you haven't looked at a solution in a long time, or if you've inherited a solution that you're going to work on, this can give you insight into what the script is doing. Now, what's cool about what we did is that now that we have this summary, we have the basis of being able to generate an embedding based on the summary. And when you generate an embedding on the summary, what one can do is they can perform what is called a semantic find. And so let's say I would search for scripts that do a startup.
Hey, Vince. Sorry to interrupt you. The resolution is really grainy and people are not able to see what you're sharing. Do you think you could relaunch your share?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Actually, it just cleared up for me, but.
Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry. So basically, we were just briefly looking at the summary of the script that was generated by ChatGPT, and with that summary, what we do is we generate an embedding on the summary, and then what's possible with the embeddings is to search on the meaning of the script. So, for example, you know, I don't have a great example here, but let's say scripts that deal with the startup process. If I do that search, I'll find, you know, again, I'll find this on OpenScript, but I'll find other matches that have something to do with the process of a startup of a script, or you can say resetting a solution, or, you know, building information. So again, the embeddings are like the summary of the script, but now you're able to search the search your scripts by the meaning of that summary. I don't know if that's that makes sense, but that's what's exciting. And this was a really last minute decision to put into Inspector. We saw the feature. We thought, oh, this is really easy to implement, and we went ahead and we implemented it, and it's in the current release. So we're really excited about it, and we're really excited to take the next steps and do other AI enhancements in the future.
Do you have any enhancements in mind yet?
Yeah, I mean, we have all kinds of ideas. Some things along the lines of pop open a window from a calculation and say automatically feed it to a model and ask it for review the code and give us any insights on how the code could be improved, or tell us what the code is doing. And so there's these two things in terms of calculations and scripts. So right now we're just doing semantic searching, but we'll be expanding the features to doing other AI, types of things to help you right now just to review the code. But in the future, we're looking to also see about maybe, writing the code in some way, but that's further down.
That is really cool, Vince. I love the way you
cool.
guys took semantic search and put it in there. And it's and I know there's a little, you said it kind of very briefly, but like it was a kind of a last minute thing, right? You guys found it to be able to bring that in a very short amount of time, which I'm very happy to hear.
Yeah, and Vince, there is one question for you about what's happening. So what are you using to create the embedding? Is that again ChatGPT?
Yes. So there's two steps to the process. First off, when Inspector processes the scripts, it generates a script summary, a textual representation of the script. Actually, let me share my screen one more time. So instead of dealing with this is the yarn XML. So instead of feeding it the XML, I don't know if you see my screen. Do you see my XML? Maybe of it. So I mean, this is the XML representation of your solution, and a part in here is going to be the scripts and the steps of all the scripts. But what we do is we basically generate this, which is a textual representation of the script. We take this, we send it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT sends us back this description down here, right? So so basically it tells us, here's what the script is doing and in a summarized form. And then with this description, we get it to generate an embedding. And that then allows us to be able to do the semantic search based on the embeddings that we generated of the script.
And so then the follow-up question is, does semantic search work 100% in FileMaker?
I would like to better understand that question.
I think the question is, when you do the semantic search, does everything happen within FileMaker, or do you still need to go out to ChatGPT or another model to complete the search?
Yeah, you still need to use the model because it's generating the embeddings, and then but the search itself, once the embeddings are done, I believe that all happens within FileMaker.
And just to clarify, just in case, I know Vance, you guys are using OpenAI models and API, but you could have accomplished the same thing by running that model locally as well, right? So if there's extremely, I guess with these, for some of these scripts, right, I think it may not matter for a lot of people, but if you are trying to create embeddings for things that are very sensitive and you want to make sure it does not leave your network at all, you have the ability to run these models locally. And we even provide with 2024 FileMaker, we have scripts that allows you to run. We have some Python libraries that allow you to run these models locally if you have the machines to run them locally there as well. So you have options, right? But your implementation is straightforward and very easy, so accessible. I love what you guys did.
Yeah, and like you said, Ronnie, I mean, this whole space continually changes weekly. So we are constantly seeing new things and adapting along the way.
Nicholas, you mentioned that you've been using AI for many years. So how are you bringing together your longtime AI practice to FileMaker and to your FileMaker customers?
Okay, related with this problem and what Vincent's really already showed, I mean, I'm going to show you how to try to have your own really LLM. I mean, now Vince is taking advantage of GPT because it's extremely powerful tool that is outside, for everybody. But in case if you are concerned about data security and perhaps cost also, is one of the options is try to have your own LLM at home. And I mean, now is I will not say extremely easy, but it's really affordable for almost everybody has a little bit knowledge of what is the technology that is inside. So I'm going to show you really what I mean, we are been working on this kind of mixture between LLM, external LLMs, and also FileMaker apps, and how is easy to implement these LLMs, external LLMs with the FileMaker app. So let me share you my screen. Okay, and okay, first of all, I don't know if you see these slides. Can you see? Okay, this is only an introduction. Yeah, I already introduced by myself. I am PhD on physics and director of artificial intelligence at 2 universities in Polytechnic University in Madrid. Also, yeah, I'm the partner at Bitcoin. Okay, what is about? I was gonna show you what the use of external model of LLMs, and for using this external model of LLMs, how to connect this model with your FileMaker app and how to take advantage of these new functionalities of basically the semantic search that is in FileMaker, the new version of FileMaker. First of all, we're using Hugging Face. Hugging Face is one of the standard platforms that is using, for hosting models, LLM models. There's many of external models already trained. It's hundreds of thousands of models that you can use. They're free to download and they are free to use. Of course, you have to understand. I mean, at the end, you don't need to understand how an LLM model works, but you need to know a little bit how. What is a parameter? How? You have to tune a little bit, but it's not really very complex. But first of all, why to use your own model? The first of all is very good because you can train your own data. In this case, for example, the Vince case, imagine that you are training not with ChatGPT, but with your own data, a lot of XML related with databases that you already has built with everybody. Perhaps everybody can give you their own XML with databases. So at the end, your model is much more powerful and probably has much more, when you ask, the semantic search probably can be much accurate, right? Also, because you can modify and add some new data. If you have your own LLM, you can really modify and add some new data. And if you are working on it on time and you have more and more new data that are refreshing your database, you can really have a much better model and much better results. And also, of course, because you can fine tuning it. You can download a model and you can fine tuning it for specific reasons. So this is, you don't need, you can have a very strong model, you can download it and fine tune it. It means the only last layer of the model is fine tune it. It means that the result can be much better for your purpose, right? And of course, you can have any kind of model. So you can have a very, let's say, small model that you can put on your laptop and you can go with it and you can work on an airplane, and you don't need to be connected to a to a server or very strongly say hardware. No, you can use it on your laptop. It means that also it can be cheap. I mean, you don't have if you already have a training model and you can use it, of course, is the cheapest possible, and it's free. Also, you can have it on your own server, so you only have to pay for the energy. And of course, one of the main purpose for most of our clients is because it's private, and you are in charge of the security. And also, if you really take advantage of your own security in your company, it can be as secure as you, really as you are. So really, for all those reasons, it's a good idea perhaps try to have your own LLM. So what are you using Hugging Faces? Because Hugging Faces, as I tell you, has thousands and hundreds of thousands of models that you can download. Many of them are really powerful, are really very strong. But you can also have others that are not so, let's say, strong, but have a very good results. And for this, only you need a server. In this case, a Linux. You can only have, I try in my own laptop, put in a Linux, and it works fine. And to host the model, if it has a GPU, it's better because it can be faster when you have to calculate the embeddings, and you have to download your modding, and only you have to coding. To code, in this case, we only code 2 endpoints on Python. You have to know a little bit of Python. You can be helped by someone to know how to code on Python. And we need 2 endpoints, one for calculate the embeddings of the image, and another to calculate the embeddings of the questions. In this case, I'm going to show you one case that is, we're going to take one model that is image model in order to, because it's very nice to see how you can ask semantic search on image. So we took one model that is this one that I can show you, the ClipVid base patch 16 is an open model. It has been downloaded, I think that 9 million of times or something like this. It's really very, very common model, and is I think that the parameters, it takes like 1 megabyte, is almost nothing. When you download all the parameters, and it's very easy to, more than easy, it's very light model, and is a model that also you are allowed to take all the pictures where they are being trained. So you can have the pictures that are trained, so you can see what are the training, but you will see that with those pictures that are extremely simple, you can have a very, very good results, right? So how it works? It works in this sense. You have a Hugging Face, you have a local server with a Linux, and you download, you have to ask Hugging Face to download the model. And once there, you code 2 endpoints with your Linux. And with the endpoints, you can ask a database of images to calculate the embeddings. So every time that you do a semantic search, you go to your application in FileMaker, and this application in FileMaker use the function in FileMaker to calculate the semantic search. But before, you need to have the embedding of this question. So you have to ask the Linux server, calculate the embeddings, give you back the embeddings, and in your local FileMaker to calculate the best answer. That is basically to calculate a cosinus between 2 factors. That is something that is very, very easy. So let me try to show you how it works properly. Look, this is the model. The model, if you can see, is only 389 images. It's very, very slow model with only few images. And of course, the model has been trained. It is an OpenAI model, so it has been trained by OpenAI, and it gives you only have to download the parameters, the weights, and you have to put it on cache on your machine, right? And once it has been downloaded, you can ask them anything. For example, you can see the images are all cartoon images that are not well defined. Any kind of images, only 380 something. I can ask something like, of course, one of the things that I have to tell you is when you train a model, they train the model, and of course, they train, you can see here a text that is related with the model, but this is the training only. I mean, you train an image and you train a text all together. So every time that you are training, you need a setup, you need a database of images with text. And the better the text is related to the images, the better the result you will have. But in this case, there's only 300 and something images. For example, they say, let me a castle. And oh, let me check here because I have just this image. Okay. And if I ask a castle, is going to my server and say, okay, those are the images of a castle. The first one is the better result. And after, as you can see, we have other ones that are not really castle, but something related to castles. And the results are quite good, right? But what is incredible is that you don't need only to search for something that is very, let's say, specific. You can also search for ideas. Like, let's try, for example, very fast. It's very difficult to a database to ask for very fast. And when we search for very fast, is an idea, but this is the idea of very fast. It's quite amazing that you can find something that, I mean, everybody has a different idea of very fast, but you have very good result with only 395 images. And you see a naked man in the river, he click up, and it's only this text, and it's not neither the name, neither the word very or fast inside, nothing, but it's the idea that is inside that is related. That this is what is very, very incredible. So, but most incredible one is this one. Look, for example, imagine that I looked for a tiger. I don't think I have a tiger here. I don't think I have a tiger. No, I have here a lion. I have here some horse, but I don't have something that here perhaps can find a tiger. But I don't have a tiger. But I download an image of a tiger. Let me remove this. I download an image of a tiger and I can put on my database. For example, I drag an image. As I can see, this is the image of a tiger. I download this and it's a normal image of a tiger. Look, this image of a tiger is on the side of a tiger. It's difficult really for someone that is a machine to identify that it's a tiger, but they don't care to put inside. You say, okay, you have to code the embeddings of the function already. And now you can say, okay, give me again, what is a tiger? And it looks up. The first one is this one, but he finds the tiger. It's not the first option, but he finds the tiger. But imagine now that we have a better image of a tiger. For example, I have this image. This is really an image of a tiger. This is a beautiful image of a tiger. I can put this image of a tiger. And now I can search for a tiger. And of course, the first image is the one. It means that really, even if this image is on the side, it's very difficult for a machine to try to understand that this is a tiger, but it finds it. It's really clear. But this is only one of the small things that we can find really with this connection between your model. For example, imagine now that I want something. I have an image. I put images on my model that is this. Imagine this one. This one is a tree and a landscape. It's something that's also very difficult to try. And let's say empty landscape with a tree. If I try to see an empty landscape with a tree in my database, I don't find almost anything. Some trees, empties, some trees, something that is empty but with empty but not trees. Here, if I put this image, that is, I have to say that none of this image has nothing, any single word related. We don't have description of the image. We don't have anything on the image that tells us that this is an empty landscape with a tree. But now if I have empty landscape with 3. Oi, why I don't have this one? Because I forgot to, this is the last one, I forgot to calculate the embeddings. And if I don't calculate the embeddings, I cannot do it. Now that I calculate the embeddings, now I can, and now the first one is this one. Is an image, I mean, with the parameters that I have, we only on 400 image, I am able to really understand that is an empty space landscape with an image. But this is much more, for me, difficult to try. Imagine that I want something that is not specific, like someone working. I want an image of someone working. I don't tell anything specific. What is to work? Is able to understand that this is to work, to work, to work. This is someone working. Okay. But if now I put this image, we know, no, this is not the one that I want, but this is a car. I want this one. Yes, this is the one that I want. That is someone working. Is a person with a, I mean, it's difficult to understand that he's working. You know that he's working because it's a laptop and because a lot of paper on the side. But it can be a paper, someone you know working or looking at the iPhone. And I calculate the embeddings. And now I say someone working. It found the first one. And this is what is incredible. It's incredible because now you are able to match and to have your own model, that this model, it can be perfectly training for your data, perfectly securized, and it can be really fine-tuning for your purpose, and you can have an extremely accuracy of the results. And this is, I think, that is something completely amazing for nowadays, and it will open a new doors, a new windows for many of us that were working in FileMaker, because it gives you many other possibilities. I don't know if you agree, but at least I am really very happy that FileMaker finally has given us the opportunity, you know, to implement these kind of solutions.
Thank you, Nicolas. Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited about semantic search as well, and all the possibilities, right, that it opens. I think it still fascinates me when you perform a search like that, and it's just like really searching for the concept. It's really, there's not really looking at the bits. It's really the meaning behind it. And for those who haven't tried it, if the embedding model has been trained in multiple languages, instead of tiger, he could have written in Spanish, you know, or feline.
You can do it in this model. You can do it.
Yeah. So the possibilities are really amazing.
Yeah, Nicholas, have you used any of these concepts, or are you planning to for specific customer implementations?
Yes.
Like, you don't have to be really specific or demo anything, just like, what are some of the use cases you've been working on?
No, we are working, I mean, actually we are working in a company that has a lot of devices, that he built devices, and he has, let's say, he has to search for specific components for the devices. So we are trying to put, you know, in order to classify, to have a special model that when you make a picture, it gives you exactly what is the component of the device, if it's right, it's not, and where is you don't have to stay looking for the reference or looking for the number of the components. So with a picture, you automatically, if you have an LLM, if you train the LLM with only the specific not devices, but components for the devices, you can have some pictures, you know, of those components. You can have one find very easy. And also, if someone can ask for components, they say, okay, I need a component for this device. You don't need to put the number of the component. You don't need to remember the number of the component. And you can also use voice to text in order not to, someone when is working in a factory, they don't perhaps have access to a computer easily. So you can use voice to text in order to find and to know where the components are.
I can also, like, I'm imagining that would also be really helpful in any general service workflow.
Yeah,
where you can
many.
take a picture of whatever the technician is servicing and get back core information, or even the manual, or all kinds of things.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. And I'm just kind of trying to keep my eye half on the chat. And I think Chris has weighed in a little bit with some information. But like, there's so much power behind training your own model, as Nicholas said, for speed, for performance, for security. But if you are daunted by doing that, but you have a really good use case and you can see the benefits, we have a lot of partners already in the Claris community who have that expertise. So, partner up with a partner to take your applications to the next level. And I'm sure, obviously we have Nicholas, we have Chris, Beeswax has now got a lot of experience, Mike Wallace from Empower. I can't remember, Mike, your company name off the top of my head, but we're very rapidly gaining that expertise in the community. So please reach out to these partners and ask them for help, because I'm sure they would love to take you on this journey as well. Oh, and thanks, Mike. He's Empowered Data Solutions.
Empowered Data.
Empowered Data. And now, Christos, I know you're probably newest. You and Vince are both very new to AI. So we've already talked a little about how you've got started, but what are you doing at Codance to make AI more accessible to your team?
Yeah, so it's interesting. At the beginning of this chat, Ronnie mentioned that as far back as FileMaker 19, machine learning was something that was baked into the product. But at that time, the tooling wasn't really there. You had to be proficient in another language if you wanted to train your own models. The compute, you had to be either local, or you had to have specialized servers to really do it efficiently. And so I didn't really pick it up at the time. But with the emergence of DaVinci 03 at first, and then GPT-3 from OpenAI, I really became much more interested again with generative AI. Excuse me, and that actually led me to look back at some of these features that have been baked into the platform already. So one thing we've been looking at is cases for edge computing. This is where, just as Nicolas said, you could use OpenAI, but you could also host your own Linux server with a model from Hugging Face. And so you're sort of bringing it closer to your FileMaker database. If you have people in the field who have an iPad or an iPhone and are doing a mobile solution, you can actually put an AI model all the way onto that smallest device, using these features that have been in FileMaker for a long time. So let me pull up my slides here. So there are a couple of cases where, AI on the edge really makes the most sense. Obviously, if you have no internet, that's the most critical one. If you can't talk to a more powerful server, but you still want to be able to leverage AI tools for things like image recognition, then you have to do it on the edge. But even if you have access to a server, maybe the internet's not very good, or that server just has so much demand on it. So it might be faster to do it on the edge on that device instead of having to make the call to a remote service. And then both of those things sort of feed towards one of our core principles at Codance, which is AI tooling works best when you have a human in the loop. So the faster you can make it, the more streamlined you can make it as part of somebody's existing workflow, the better that tool is going to serve them in their business or their operation. So there's a couple of tools that I like to point new developers at when we're talking about training, especially image classification models. One of them is called liner.ai. This makes it really simple. I've actually got a couple slides showing how easy it is to train an image classification model that you can then export to Core ML and put onto a FileMaker Go device. You can also do that with a tool from Apple called CreateML. CreateML is actually a fair bit more powerful in that it provides access to other kinds of models as well. You can do tabular regression. It's got more different, I guess, algorithms for the classification models than Liner provides. So both of these are GUI-based tools. Liner in particular really makes it FileMaker level easy to get started training your own custom models as long as you've got a data set. And the data set doesn't have to be huge. So I pulled these examples from a public data set provided by iNaturalist. But if you have a customer who's already got, say, a bunch of parts or a bunch of photos of inspections, move in, move out inspections for property management, you can take that existing data set and export it and just put all of the files into their own folder. You don't have to write up a big complicated manifest file. You don't have to open a Python script. You don't actually have to open a text editor at all. You can just do this with drag and drop or file export from FileMaker if your data is structured. And then the training process, this is running on an M1 MacBook. I forget exactly what year, but it's a silicon chip, but it's not the latest and greatest. And it's still pretty fast. You can see that the total training time here is probably going to be on the order of minutes. Obviously, this is not the most sophisticated recognition model because we're planning to run this on devices that have limited compute resources. If you needed something really powerful, then you would want to make sure you've got access to that server. But if you can do something that's small and compact and fits onto an iPhone or an iPad, this tool will get you all the way there. And then this is a proof of concept we put together after some discussions with one of our clients. So this would essentially be shipping, receiving. So they're a plant broker. They have to inspect plants as they're receiving them. And so this is basically all running from within FileMaker. And the code to put this into FileMaker is extremely straightforward. You put the model file into a container field, you load the model file in a script, you run a really simple calculation, excuse me, and you get back a piece of JSON that tells you what is this an image of. And again, all of that is happening on the device. All of that is happening using the chips that Apple provides with the neural engine. And then the way this application worked, once you've classified it, you can take that data and do other things with it, like update the actual inventory. I've received 10 of this plant. I received 5 of this plant in this shipment. All of that is just normal FileMaker workflow operations. So we're using the machine learning in a very targeted way to do that classification, which is not something we'd have been able to do otherwise. But once you've got that information into your database, you can work with it in all the ways that you're already used to. So that's basically the whole shebang. I mean, again, Liner, CreateML, these tools make it extremely simple. You can, in an hour, you can put together a data set, train a model, and put together a proof of concept just to try something out and see if it's going to work and see if it's going to change your client's workflows.
And so, can you be a little more specific about how this would change that plant broker's shipping and receiving process? I'm imagining it, but I think it might be helpful for the audience to actually kind of talk about what do they do now and what will be possible if they adopt this proof of concept that you've developed.
Yeah, so there are a couple of different places where this kind of additional information, it's sort of like expert augmentation of the people who are doing the work, can be impactful. One of them is not everybody doing shipping receiving is a botanist. And sometimes labels fall off of plants. Sometimes plants are mislabeled. And just having something else to do that classification check and say, oh, this doesn't match the label. Did we actually get what we ordered? Already doing that at the point of receiving can have an impact on how efficiently the business is able to run. But you can also stack these models. So if you have a data set, for example, you've been doing this for a few months, you have somebody go through and say, here's a healthy plant, this is grade A. Here's a plant that needs some water, it's grade B. Here's an unhealthy plant. This either needs a serious rehabilitation or we need to reject this shipment. You can then add that in after the classification. So you can run two models on the same image, and they run so quickly, especially on edge. They're so fast with that neural engine. You could run a dozen models if you had that many data points you wanted to add. And again, somebody who doesn't necessarily have deep expertise in the domain, they can take a picture and get a recommendation on this should absolutely go straight onto the showroom floor, or this should go into the back where somebody else can come and tend to it, or this should get set aside because we're going to ship that back this afternoon. Does
I
that
love
answer
that
your question a bit?
I love that you
Yeah.
bring that up, Chris. That's about stacking the model. That's a very powerful concept, right? And it's having one model after another run, do the classification. You can do extra classification and just narrow it down and do some filtering after that. I think it's a very powerful technique.
Yeah,
should bring
and I
that
mean,
up.
and I can see, just like from the business side of that, that's tremendous efficiency
Yeah.
that, comes to the business and, so people can work faster, can work more accurately. And that's, every business likes to hear that is possible.
Absolutely.
And Ronnie, like way back at the beginning, when you were introducing yourself, we got a great question, and I think this is a good time
Yeah.
to ask.
Sure.
Jay asked, are there plans for AI implementation for development? Like, are you thinking about any kind of co-pilot features for FileMaker developers? I mean, he said specifically he'd seen an Airtable demo that was very impressive.
Oh, every platform is bringing some sort of. Well, I can't say what we will, what features we will bring to market or not, but I can say that we are exploring many things, and that's absolutely one of those things. Right, we're exploring everything. Not everything under the sun makes sense. Not everything makes sense for this community, for our platform as well. And so we are looking at all the technologies that are available, everything that makes sense, and we've got a really great feedback loop with the community as well. And so we're trying several of these things. But I think more importantly is Jay and others, if that's something that you want, please make your voice heard. Let us know. Bring it up in the idea section of communities, and let us know. We want to hear from you what features, what type of AI integrations, what type of AI-driven features you want to see in the Claris platform, and not just in FileMaker, across the entire Claris platform. So let us know. We really want to hear. We're really listening.
Thanks, Ronnie. And I will reiterate, please let us know what you're thinking and what you're interested in. Like what's working well, what is challenging. Because one of the other things that we're doing kind of across Claris is, looking for places where people are getting stuck. And our team, the team I'm on in marketing, and also the information development or documentation team, we're all listening to that feedback and trying to create more effective resources, and also starting to curate more thoughtfully and more broadly the resources that are coming from around the community. So if you have great content, please let us know about it. I've seen several people posting their blog posts in the chat, which is really helpful. And I will wrap those up in my community post later today or tomorrow. But also, come to me, come to Ronnie with suggestions for where we could use better documentation or better guides for you to implement these features. Or not just AI features, anything. This is a good question from Greg. Are there legalities in using photos for customers in a store to identify what they buy, or on the other side, if they will steal? I'm not sure what.
I am not a lawyer, and so I will not give you a legal advice. And because that changes, that depends a lot on country by country and even state by state. So I would highly recommend that you look at your local laws and talk with an attorney. But there are a lot of, just in general, a lot of pushback on using people's images without their knowledge. So just tread carefully there on how you use those images and make sure that you have the appropriate consent, especially when you're using images of people.
Yeah, I think, to reiterate, the correct answer is to talk to your lawyer about what is what is possible and allowable in your wherever you are. And then also think about like what are the ethics or comfort of those customers with that with that process. And I just want to call out again, we have another poll to wrap up today's session. So please jump in with that. And I think given that we're very close to the top of the hour, I'm going to wrap up questions and say thank you to all our panelists. If any of you have a last word you want to share, you may right now.
I would just encourage everybody to jump in and start playing around with things. These tools are, much more mature than they were even a few years ago, and you can do a lot once you start getting your head around what they're useful for.
I'll also add that these tools are using the domain of knowledge that exists on the web or other sources. But imagine, if you would, you have a contained solution and it's concentrated about your data, your whatever your domain is. And once you get that model trained, it's doors are wide open. What you can do, you start exploring all kinds of interesting opportunities, and the training of that data is really, really interesting. So yeah, also invite people to explore.
I think that what Vince says is the way that everybody will have to find at the end. I mean, I think that in a few years, every company will have their own model, they'll have their own data, and they will train their own LLM. I think that because there is security and is a problem of security, first of all, and also of being much more efficient with your own data and with your own model than with external models. I'm pretty sure that at the end, in a few years, every company, single company will have their own specific model with their own data trained for them, and with extremely accurate companies. Extremely accurate for the results. And of course, they will have more generic model like ChatGPT, that are more like a general purpose. But for companies, it will be a specific. Every company will have their own model. That at the end is, I think, is the way.
All right. Well, thank you, all of you, Vince, Ronnie, Nicholas, and Christos, for joining me today. This has been a great conversation. And before I close out, I just want to remind you that we are doing Community Live every other week. And in August, we're going to be 2 sessions that dive deep on our recently published mobile tire shop customer story. On August 8th, I'll be talking to Jamie Cartwright, the COO of Mobile Tire, to talk about his journey personally with FileMaker and also dive deeper into what they've achieved. So you'll get that business side of the story. So please, I hope you all attend and encourage the business leaders that you work with to attend that session. And then we haven't opened registration yet, but 2 weeks after that, on August 22nd, we'll have the team from Digital Fusion with us to talk more about the technical under the hood side of the mobile tire story. I've heard feedback from customers for many years that they love our customer stories, but as developers, we all want to know more about how. So that will be a chance for you all to ask questions of the Digital Fusion team to learn kind of how they approach this development and get some of the technical nuts and bolts and goodies of what they did. Thank you again for joining us today.